Hello and welcome to CTV News Across Canada for Tuesday, July 1st. Happy Canada Day. We've got the top local stories from coast to coast, stories that affect you and the country. Thanks for joining us.
I'm on Hughes Road in Orillia tonight, where, as you can see behind me, the streets are lined with Canadian flags as the street takes part in a competition put out by the city. It appears as though everyone wants to show their Canadian pride this year, as flag stores are reporting an increase in demand compared to previous years. The city of Orillia is pushing to be the most patriotic city on Canada Day. Households teaming up in the Great Orillia Flag Challenge to make their street the most decorated in the city.
July 1st is certainly one day of the year that we celebrate, and Hughes Road certainly is taking it by storm.
Barbara Shakel-Barkey and her family are doing their part to turn Hughes Road into an unofficial favorite with hundreds of flags and counting.
We have 567 small flags, 12 larger lawn signs. On my house, and again, I'm not quite finished, I have 167 flags.
The idea for a competition coming from Ward 2 Councillor Luke Leatherdale.
Why don't we celebrate this country? I know people like to complain about things, and yeah, things maybe aren't perfect, but this is still one of the greatest countries, if not the greatest country in the world.
A sentiment felt by many Canadians, according to an Angus Reid poll, which found that at the end of last year, 58% of those surveyed were either proud or very proud to be Canadian. That surged to 67% in June.
Certainly our friends south of the border created a lot of outpouring of maybe latent Canadian pride in February, and it's kept up since then.
Flags Unlimited in Barrie reporting their Canadian flags flying off the shelves.
We're up 75% year over year from a volume perspective, and it's a good problem to have, but it's been quite challenging to keep up with the demand.
Shakel-Barkey's Canadian pride inspiring her grandson and great-granddaughters as they push to become the most patriotic street in the city.
It's in our blood, it's in our DNA, and we've lived here, and we're just going to keep spreading our joy and love for this country.
When we do Canada Day, it makes me happy because sometimes we see people smile, and it makes me happy to see that.
3 weeks ago, the words "Feed Me" painted in red on the face of the National Holocaust Monument. Now, Ottawa police say a man has been arrested and charged.
I'm pleased to see that the police acted quickly and that their investigation, which I understand was not easy and was complex, that their investigation led to a suspect being charged.
46-year-old Ian Aspenleader, a lawyer working for the City of Ottawa, is charged with mischief to a war memorial, mischief exceeding $5,000, and harassment by threatening conduct.
We must fight against anti-Semitism at every opportunity. We can't accept these acts of vandalism against an important national monument in our city, especially a monument that recognizes the victims of the Holocaust.
To see that the Ottawa Police Services made an arrest so quickly, and to see Mayor Sutcliffe respond so quickly as well, we are very grateful. In this very, very dark time, we feel that we're embraced, and that's important.
According to Mayor Mark Sutcliffe, the accused is no longer a city employee. His position was terminated.
It was very disturbing to hear that the suspect was a City of Ottawa employee who was on leave from the city at the time of the incident. The city announced on the weekend that that person is no longer an employee of the City of Ottawa.
Ottawa Police Hate and Crime Unit conducted the investigation. The Jewish community thankful to them and the city.
We saw that Ottawa does not stand for hate. Ottawa stands with the Jewish community, and that this period of dark anti-Semitism today in Ottawa and across the country, it was a very important and soothing for them.
CUPE members joined CN Tower hospitality workers this afternoon who were chanting slogans instead of serving food and beverages to visitors. Canada Lands, the federal Crown Corporation operating the attraction, locked out 250 full and part-time employees after a deal was presented Thursday and talks broke down, causing a disruption at the start of Toronto's busy summer tourist season.
I think that stinks. I'm glad they're advocating for themselves. It's really sad.
Taking in spectacular views is not a problem, although its rotating dining room, 360 restaurant, and its kiosks, View Bistros, and Le Cafe are closed. Visitors can still take the elevators up to the observation decks. The Edge Walk and shops remain open. During the labor dispute, guests can bring their own food and beverages. Both sides have been negotiating since April. The union says many workers earn minimum wage, and the main issues are pensions, which have gone 15 years without improvements, along with wages and health and safety issues. Some of the key terms include annual wage increases of 3% in 2025 and 2026 and 2.5% in 2027, and improvements to our comprehensive employee benefits and pension protection. Unfortunately, the union chose not to respond, the company told CTV News in an email. But the union says things unfolded differently.
That's actually not true. So we were in bargaining all day on Thursday with the presence of a conciliation officer. The company in the end gave us a take it or leave it offer that the committee felt like they could not accept.
In its defense, the company says the union filed a request with the Ministry of Labor, triggering a countdown to allow a legal strike or lockout today, and adds if there was a strike, it wouldn't be able to serve customers with the same quality standards.
That's really disappointing. I mean, it's essential to get food and snacks.
We didn't notice a big difference, and we had fun.
The company says it's open and ready to negotiate, and the union says it's happy to get back to the table. But there's no clear sign when that will be.
Summer has barely begun, and already people are making the most of the weather. But as the temperature rises, so does the risk for bacteria.
When the water is around body temperature, that's really like the right temperature for these organisms to really have population booms.
Halifax Regional Municipality will begin water quality testing at its supervised beaches on July 1st.
Typically, if you're at the beach on like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday morning, you can see our lifeguard coordinators out there taking samples.
Staff will regularly test for E. coli levels, blue-green algae, and other waterborne contaminants.
Either wildlife or waterfowl can also be a source, but also a heavy rainfall can also contribute to bacteria because then basically everything that's on the land gets flushed out into the water.
Halifax Regional Municipality will provide beach status updates by 8 a.m. weekdays and by 9 a.m. on weekends between July 1st and September 1st. However, closures due to suspected blue-green algae could come at any time.
We've trained all our lifeguards who work at the beaches to how to observe for and watch for the signs of blue-green algae. We train the lifeguards because they're there the most.
If a swimming advisory goes into effect, lifeguards will remain on site to advise people against going in the water. Swimming at a beach under an advisory could result in illness.
You can see symptoms like skin rash, upset stomach, hives. Folks who have sensitive skin or like are immunocompromised are more likely to see these effects.
Staff will monitor the water and retest as needed. Stephanie Seco, CTV News, Dartmouth.
Pedal pubs, those group bicycles that carry a dozen or more people from bar to bar, are getting an upgrade.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Until now, drinking was only allowed at the individual stops or after the ride was over. But as of July 1st, riders in 4 communities, Niagara-on-the-Lake, Toronto, Ottawa, and Windsor, can enjoy a beverage on board, as long as the operator secures a license from the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario.
I think that'd be really cool, actually.
I think it would be.
Some kind of different activity, something fun to do in Windsor.
As long as there's something nice to do in the city and it's exciting and the driver's not drinking, it's great.
Pedal pubs can only operate in a community once the local municipality passes a bylaw allowing them. Windsor City Councillor Ronaldo Agostino says he fully supports the move and plans to bring it forward at the next City Council meeting.
Looking forward to seeing that happen. It's another cool thing to be happening in our community.
The province says the move supports Ontario's $32 billion tourism industry and is part of a wider effort to modernize the alcohol marketplace. Windsor-Tecumseh MPP Andrew Dowie, speaking on the Dan McDonald Show, says it's a step in the right direction.
Really what we saw here was a great opportunity to allow for more local Ontario product to be distributed. Local Ontario breweries, wineries, cideries, and other producers gives them a bit of another venue to sell our local products and create a destination experience for our community.
It is exciting news, like beyond exciting to hear that they're finally going to allow us to serve alcohol as we've been waiting for this for about 3 years.
Officials at Petal & Pour in Windsor say they're excited about the change and hope to start serving later this summer. The city has the power to set specific rules like hours of operation and designated routes.
This is the government adding an experience that people are doing all over the place. I know people go over to Detroit all the time for it. It's a fun thing to do, to get a group of friends together, and it's a daytime activity. It's something different, and it'll be cool in Windsor.
Moving Day Eve in Quebec, and this year the rental crunch is worse than ever. Housing groups say vulnerable people are bearing the brunt.
Every year is getting worse as rents go higher and higher.
Igor Matviv felt that pressure firsthand. He was scrambling to find a new home after a fire destroyed his St. Henry apartment 2 weeks ago.
My girlfriend still cried and when she saw it, and I also was emotional. Terrible, absolutely terrible.
The couple had just moved in. They'd packed a U-Haul in Ontario and settled into their first home, only to lose it before July 1st.
The top floor, where our apartment is, completely collapsed, and everything in it is effectively gone.
To make matters worse, they couldn't find anything decent in their budget. They visited 30 places and only found something suitable days ago. Matviv says the competition for apartments was exhausting.
It's a tragedy, the way our cities, and all over the country deal with housing.
Vacancy is just 1.5% and rents keep rising. The city says around 280 households are still looking for a new home. Most will be staying with family and friends, but 35 need emergency shelter Tuesday. To help nonprofits buy and protect affordable units, Projet Montréal is proposing a $100 million guarantee fund. Party leader Luc Rabouin says it could help thousands.
This is a way to protect the affordability in a long-term perspective.
The party also wants Montreal's housing office to act faster after evictions. But advocates say that's not enough. Gary Sachs says low vacancy and cheaper units is making things worse.
The real solution is social housing. It's for those people who cannot afford market rents so that people could live in dignity in decent conditions.
The answers are on the table, but without political will, advocates say the crisis will keep deepening. Laurence Brisson-Dubreuil, CTV News.
And with moving day comes a lot of garbage. The city says it typically takes about a week to clean up all the waste from the aftermath.
After hearing submissions which included 2 victim impact statements, the judge in the Felicity Altman case will now decide parole ineligibility for the 44-year-old. Last fall, she was found guilty of second-degree murder, which carries a 25-year life sentence. It's in connection to the death of 75-year-old Robert Bob Keskinen, whose body had been found Boxing Day 2020 inside his Kathleen Street apartment. He'd been stabbed more than 100 times and had part of his body mutilated. Following a 3-week trial last October, the jury found Altman guilty. She'd been staying at an apartment in the same building and had left a small Christmas Eve gathering to visit the older neighbor whom she had bragged about stealing from before. She returned several hours later with bags of items later found to belong to Keskinen. The victim's cousin and older brother both read victim impact statements, saying they have emotional and psychological scars. Submissions included a Gladue report, which considers an Indigenous offender's background when they're sentenced. Details included a difficult upbringing that included physical and sexual abuse and a long-time issue with drug addictions and generational trauma. After the submissions, the judge allowed Altman to address the court, where she said she was sorry and asked for forgiveness. The Crown recommended Altman not get parole eligibility until 20 years had been served, while defense was asking for 12 to 15 years. The judge will now take all the recommendations and details into consideration and provide his sentencing at a later date. Angela Gamble, CTV News, Sudbury.
Dementia is one of the biggest challenges in healthcare today, and for those with Parkinson's disease, the risk is even greater. Roughly half will develop dementia within a decade of their diagnosis. Now, researchers at Lawson Health Research Institute are looking at a surprising candidate to slow the decline. It's called Ambrexol, a common cough medicine used safely for decades in Europe. The year-long clinical trial published today in JAMA Neurology followed people living with Parkinson's disease dementia.
We randomized 55 patients to Ambrexol or a placebo for a year. We saw that patients on the placebo had worsening of psychiatric symptoms. We saw a small subgroup of patients have improvements in cognition. And we saw that patients on placebo had worsening of a particular brain enzyme in their blood called GFAP that we use as a proxy for neurodegeneration.
Ambrexol is not approved in Canada or the U.S., but it's long been used safely in Europe, even at high doses and during pregnancy.
All of our medications for cognition and Parkinson's disease right now treat the symptoms. They don't prevent the worsening of the underlying disease. And our hope is if we can identify people before they have symptoms, then we can give them a safe, easy-to-take medication which would prevent the development of these diseases.
Dr. Pasternak says he first learned about Ambrexol during a fellowship at Sick Kids Hospital, where the drug was used to treat Gaucher disease, a rare childhood disorder. He's now applying that knowledge to brain disease in adults, in hopes an old drug might offer new possibilities. Researchers say more studies are needed, but the findings mark a hopeful step toward a safe, affordable treatment that could change the outlook for thousands of Canadians. Rita Ismail, CTV News.
But he was born Canadian.
Yeah, he's born Canadian.
Living in this house are 3 people and a cat named Bonnie. Today, Bonnie is the one and only citizen here. That is until tomorrow when Luis Bonito and his family are sworn in as Canadians.
Very, very happy. Very, very happy. You know, all my dreams come true.
But 6 years ago, Luis Bonito and his family were facing a very real nightmare. They were about to be deported.
I cannot do it because I must leave. I'm not legal here.
Bonito was born in Brazil and also had Portuguese citizenship, but never spent any time in either of these countries. He was raised in Venezuela, but had to flee the country for his safety. He filed a refugee claim, but it was denied because the Canadian government told him he could safely go to Portugal.
I know when I get to Portugal, I will be in trouble.
But that doomsday scenario isn't going to happen. 6 months after talking to CTV, Bonito and his family got permanent residency.
They gave him a temporary permit, and then about 6 months after, they give my permanent residence, me and my family. And everything goes fine.
This journey wasn't easy for Bonito's daughter, Ana, either.
I always felt very stressed and overwhelmed by it. I was very scared of what was going to happen next.
Newly graduated from high school, Ana is thankful that everything pulled through.
I'm just glad now it all worked out.
So is Bonito, and he can't thank his fellow Winnipeggers enough.
They say Winnipeg is the most cold city on the world. They are wrong. It's the most hot and warm because of their people.
Harrison Shin, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Spending Canada Day weekend at Elk Island National Park is a special time for Sagar Mehta and his family. When they heard about the Canada Strong Pass, they knew they wanted to spend time outdoors.
And because we have the Canada Pass, the Canada Strong Pass, it actually helps us bring the family here, explore the nature, and it's amazing, and the weather is beautiful, so we are enjoying it.
Introduced by Ottawa, the Canada Strong Pass includes free admission into national parks until September 2nd and 25% off camping fees. Mata's brother and brother-in-law recently moved to Alberta and plan to take advantage.
We are planning to visit pretty much all the parks, as many parks as possible for this summer.
This definitely won't be our only federal park this summer. I'm hoping to go to Jasper and Banff as well. It's really a great program. I'm very happy to use it.
And so are the dozens of people in their cars lined up to get into Elk Island. The beach at Asitoten Lake filled with tents, barbecues, and games.
I expected it to kind of have a busy lineup, but it's actually not too bad. It's not crowded. I wouldn't say it's crowded.
You don't need a physical or virtual pass to access savings. Just show up.
It's a great way for for Canada as a whole to promote parks and enjoy wildlife and bonding with families.
It's free, and I say, oh, nice, it's free. $25 for 2 cars is $50. It's kind of a meal, right? So it's a good news.
There's lots to enjoy at the park besides the free entry.
All the fun animals and the bisons.
The pass also includes free admission and discounts for national museums and via rail. Miriam Valdez-Carletti, CTV News, Edmonton.
The rural municipalities of Maple Creek, Fox Valley, and Enterprise have joined Big Stick in declaring a state of emergency due to extreme drought.
Yeah, we're just in a desperate situation. Our fire hazards are high, and guys are trying to salvage what they can to make some feed for livestock, but we've got community pastures where the grass is drying up.
And for cattle ranchers who need rain and grass to feed their livestock, almost a decade of dealing with dry conditions has made life difficult.
For a young couple, trying to get going here, it's tough. All these setbacks, the drought, and it makes it hard to get ahead financially. We've been having to cut back numbers for the last number of years.
The Saskatchewan Crop Insurance Corporation announced that they are implementing the double low yield appraisal process, which encourages acres of low yielding eligible crops to be diverted to make additional feed available. But Jack Strait says that is not enough to offset producers' current expenses.
Because farming is different nowadays. We no longer are half summer fallow and half crop. It's all continuous cropping with lots of fertilizer going down and additional chemicals. So our costs have gone way up from what was traditional farming.
The dry conditions aren't just impacting farmers' financials, but their mental health as well. Stewart is reminding them to take care and seek help if needed.
Yeah, I think something to make sure producers don't overlook is their mental health in this ongoing drought. There are resources out there, Sask Ag Matters, that provides producers with 6 free counseling sessions.
Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.
There were more than 200 flight delays over the weekend and dozens of cancellations.
Saturday, incredibly frustrating day for passengers, incredibly frustrating day for our partners, incredibly frustrating day for us.
The airport has pointed to what it calls resource restraints with air traffic controllers, some of them unavailable to work at the last minute during one of the airport's busiest weekends.
NAV Canada had that last minute staffing issue come up, and as a result, they had to dial back how many aircraft they could handle coming into YVR in any given hour.
The frustrations are being felt by airlines too. WestJet telling CTV News Canadians deserve consistent accountability and service standards across the entire aviation ecosystem. WestJet is calling on the federal government to work with all stakeholders to find an immediate solution. By Monday, mostly back to normal. Despite expectations, it will be the busiest day of this quasi-long weekend.
I'm not quite sure exactly, but my flight was delayed. And there was significant, I'd say, air traffic in Montreal. And coming here, yeah, it was a significant delay too.
Flying out today, we got a small notice that it's 15 minutes delayed, but it seemed okay.
NAVCAN is dealing with a shortage of air traffic controllers and is apologetic about the issues.
We take delays very seriously when they're related to air traffic control delays, and our team is doing everything can to ensure aircraft are moving first and foremost safely, but also efficiently, and we regret any impacts to the flying public.
Operations have been much smoother Monday in comparison with the weekend, but with a busy travel season getting underway, some have concerns further turbulence could be ahead. Martin McMahon, CTV News, Vancouver.